Chosen one. One of the most misunderstood seasons in a person's life is the season where progress is happening quietly. From the outside, it can look like nothing is changing. The world around you seems to be moving fast. People are announcing new achievements, sharing visible milestones, celebrating sudden success, and racing toward the next opportunity. Yet when you look at your own journey, the movement feels slower. Your growth does not look dramatic. Your progress is not loud. Sometimes it even feels like others are passing you while you remain in the same place. This experience can create a quiet tension inside your mind because the world often teaches that speed equals success. If something is not happening quickly, the assumption is that something must be wrong. But the path of the chosen one rarely follows the same timeline as the world around them. Slow movement does not mean you are stuck, and it certainly does not mean you are going backward. In many cases, it means something deeper is being built beneath the surface. God often allows a slower pace in the lives of those he intends to shape for lasting purpose. The reason is simple but powerful. Rapid movement can produce results, but it does not always produce strength. When something grows quickly without depth, it may look impressive at first, but it becomes fragile under pressure. God does not rush what he intends to establish deeply. The chosen one is often placed in seasons where progress happens quietly, because those seasons create stability that fast success cannot provide. Throughout Scripture, this pattern appears repeatedly. David was anointed long before he ever sat on a throne. Years passed between the moment he was recognized as the future king and the moment he actually ruled. During those years, he faced uncertainty, exile, and battles that shaped his character. The delay was not punishment, it was preparation. The same pattern appears in the life of Joseph. He received a dream that revealed a future of influence and authority. Yet, that dream was followed by betrayal, imprisonment, and long seasons of waiting. The distance between promise and fulfillment was not wasted time. It was the process that built the wisdom, resilience, and humility required to handle the position he would eventually hold. When God intends to place someone in a position that requires strength, he often begins by slowing their journey. Slowness allows depth to develop. It allows character to grow quietly in ways that public success cannot teach. When progress happens slowly, you learn patience because results are not immediate. You learn discipline because consistency matters more than excitement. You learn faith because you must continue walking even when recognition has not yet appeared. These qualities are invisible to the outside world, but they are essential for the kind of purpose God prepares chosen ones to carry. The difficulty, however, is that slow seasons rarely feel comfortable while you are inside them. Human beings naturally measure progress through visible results. When those results take time to appear, the mind begins questioning whether the path itself is working. Doubt begins whispering that maybe you are behind, maybe you should move faster, maybe the quiet process you are walking through means you missed an opportunity somewhere along the way. But this assumption ignores an important truth about divine timing. God's timing is not based on urgency. It is based on readiness. A person can reach success quickly and then spend years struggling to carry the weight of it. Influence, responsibility, and visibility create pressures that require emotional maturity, spiritual clarity, and disciplined judgment. If those qualities are not developed before success arrives, the result often becomes instability rather than fulfillment. God slows the pace when the foundation matters more than the applause. He allows the hidden seasons to strengthen the roots before the fruit becomes visible. From the outside, people may interpret your slower journey as delay or stagnation. They may assume you are not progressing because your growth does not follow the dramatic pace they are used to seeing. But quiet progress is still progress. Healing is progress. Learning discernment is progress. Strengthening your faith is progress. These changes may not attract attention, but they shape the kind of person who can sustain success once it finally appears. The chosen one often moves slowly, not because they lack ability, but because God is building something stable enough to last. And the truth is that many people who appear to move faster are building momentum without depth. They gain visibility quickly, but they struggle to maintain it because the foundation beneath their success was never fully developed. A chosen one is not built for speed alone. They are built for substance. Yet even when you understand this truth, the slower pace can still feel frustrating at times. Watching others move ahead quickly can make your journey feel uncertain. Comparison begins creeping into your thoughts, and that comparison can make divine timing feel like delay instead of preparation. That internal battle becomes one of the hardest parts of the chosen one's journey, and it is something every person walking a slower path must eventually learn to face. Chosen one. Once you begin accepting that your journey is moving at a different pace, the next question naturally appears in your mind. Why would God allow the path to unfold so slowly when the world around you seems to reward speed? The answer often lies in something deeper than simple timing. Slow seasons are not always delays. They are frequently acts of protection and preparation. One of the first reasons God allows a slower pace in the life of the chosen one is protection from premature exposure. Rapid success can bring attention, pressure, and responsibility long before a person has developed the strength to carry them. When influence appears suddenly, expectations follow immediately. People begin watching closely, evaluating decisions, and forming opinions about every step you take. Without emotional maturity and spiritual clarity, that kind of pressure can quickly become overwhelming. God understands the weight that visibility carries. When He slows your pace, He is often protecting you from a level of exposure that could damage you if it arrived too early. Growth that happens quietly gives your character time to mature before the spotlight ever appears. During these hidden seasons, you develop the resilience needed to handle criticism, the patience needed to navigate setbacks, and the wisdom needed to make decisions that affect more than just your own life. The world often celebrates sudden success, but God values stability. He knows that a strong foundation must exist before elevation becomes sustainable. God slows the pace when the foundation matters more than the applause. Without that foundation, quick success can collapse under the pressure it attracts. Another reason your journey may feel slower is that God is building depth rather than momentum. Momentum can create rapid movement, but it does not always produce substance. Many people move quickly through opportunities without fully understanding what they are building or why they are pursuing it. They chase recognition, financial gain, or influence because those things appear impressive from the outside. But when challenges appear, the lack of depth beneath their success becomes visible. The chosen one's path is different. Instead of moving fast and learning later, you are often required to develop understanding before progress accelerates. This process can feel frustrating because it demands patience. You are learning discernment, emotional control, and wisdom, while others seem to be collecting visible achievements. Yet the qualities you are developing are far more durable than temporary momentum. Discernment allows you to recognize opportunities that align with your purpose, rather than chasing every door that opens. Emotional control helps you remain steady when pressure increases. Wisdom helps you navigate success without losing the integrity that brought you there. These qualities cannot be rushed. They grow through experience, reflection, and discipline over time. A chosen one is not built for speed alone, but for substance. The slower path is shaping the kind of character that can sustain influence once it arrives. A third reason God allows your progress to unfold gradually is because He is strengthening your roots before revealing your fruit. In nature, the strength of a tree depends far more on what happens beneath the soil than on what appears above it. Roots must grow deep enough to support the branches that will eventually expand outward. If the roots remain shallow or the tree grows quickly, the first major storm can uproot everything that was built. The same principle applies to spiritual growth. When development remains hidden, your faith is tested in ways that public success cannot create. You learn to remain committed, even when recognition is absent. You continue building habits and discipline without the motivation of immediate reward. This process teaches endurance, because you must rely on conviction rather than applause to keep moving forward. It also strengthens your relationship with God, because your progress becomes less dependent on external validation and more dependent on internal alignment with purpose. When no one is watching, the only thing guiding your decisions is the quiet understanding that you are still walking in the direction God placed before you. This is where roots grow the strongest. God makes your roots strong before He makes your fruit visible. When the time finally comes for the results to appear, the structure supporting them will already be stable enough to withstand the attention they attract. The world often measures progress through visible milestones, but God measures progress through transformation. If your patience has grown, if your discernment has sharpened, and if your character has become steadier than it was before, then progress is already happening, even if the results are not yet public. The difficulty is that these changes often remain invisible to everyone except the person experiencing them. That invisibility can create frustration, especially when you compare your journey to people who appear to be moving forward more quickly. Watching others receive recognition or opportunities faster than you can make the slower process feel like failure rather than preparation. And that comparison is one of the most difficult battles chosen ones must learn to overcome as they continue walking through a path that rarely looks impressive while it is still being built. Chosen one, even when you understand that slow seasons can be part of God's preparation, the emotional battle inside your mind does not simply disappear. The hardest part of moving at a slower pace is not the work itself. It is the comparison that begins creeping into your thoughts when you look around and see other people moving faster. In today's world, progress is often displayed publicly and constantly. People share achievements, promotions, opportunities, and milestones in ways that make success appear immediate and effortless. When you see those visible victories while your own growth is happening quietly, it can create the impression that your path is somehow broken. Comparison has a way of distorting reality. Instead of recognizing the unique process unfolding in your life, you begin measuring your progress against the timelines of others. What once felt like patient development suddenly feels like delay. What once felt like steady growth begins to look like stagnation. This is where discouragement begins whispering quietly in the background of your thoughts. You start wondering whether the slower path you are walking is actually leading anywhere. Maybe you missed an opportunity earlier. Maybe you waited too long. Maybe everyone else simply figured something out that you have not discovered yet. These questions can feel convincing because comparison magnifies visible success while ignoring the unseen struggles that accompany it. Most people only reveal the highlights of their journey. The setbacks, doubts, and long seasons of uncertainty that shaped their growth often remain invisible to the public eye. When you compare your behind-the-scenes process to someone else's highlight moments, the contrast can make your own progress feel insignificant. This is one reason comparison is so dangerous during slow seasons. It changes the way you interpret your own journey. Instead of recognizing quiet development, you begin interpreting patience as failure. Comparison makes divine timing feel like punishment. Yet the truth is that not all progress happens in ways that can be measured publicly. Some of the most important growth in a person's life occurs internally, long before it produces visible results. Your thinking may be clearer than it was years ago. Your standards may be stronger. You may recognize unhealthy patterns faster than you once did. Your peace may be deeper because you no longer chase the same distractions that once controlled your attention. These changes are powerful forms of progress, even if they do not immediately produce applause or recognition. Growth often begins in areas that cannot be easily measured. Discernment improves quietly. Emotional stability strengthens gradually. Faith deepens through experiences that do not always appear dramatic from the outside. These changes reshape your character long before they reshape your circumstances. Yet, because they happen internally, it becomes easy to overlook them while focusing on what others seem to be achieving publicly. This is where discouragement tries to convince you that nothing is happening. When progress unfolds slowly, your mind can begin ignoring the small improvements that have accumulated over time. Instead of noticing the ways your thinking has matured or your decisions have become wiser, you focus only on the absence of dramatic results. Discouragement thrives in environments where quiet progress goes unrecognized. It whispers that the effort you are investing is pointless because the outcome has not appeared yet. Over time, these thoughts can create a deeper fear beneath the surface of your mind. The fear is not simply that you're moving slowly. The fear is that you might actually be falling behind. When results do not appear quickly, it can begin to feel as though your life is moving backward rather than forward. Healing periods can feel like retreat. Rest can feel like weakness. Rebuilding parts of your life that once collapsed can feel like starting over instead of progressing. But healing is not regression. Rest is not failure. Rebuilding is not defeat. Pausing to heal is not retreat. It is preparation. Sometimes God slows the pace because the person you are becoming must be stronger than the life you are stepping into. The process of rebuilding your mind, strengthening your faith, and clarifying your purpose can feel quiet and invisible, but these moments are shaping the foundation that future progress will stand on. The enemy often tries to convince chosen ones that they are going backward when they are actually being restored. If you were truly stuck, you would not be questioning your growth at all. The very fact that you are reflecting, learning, and continuing to walk forward even when the pace feels slow is evidence that something inside you is still moving. God is not measuring your life by how quickly you outrun other people. He is measuring your life by your faithfulness in the process. He is not asking you to compete with the timelines of others. He is asking you to remain aligned with the direction He placed within you. When you shift your focus away from comparison, you begin noticing something important. Even if your path feels slow, it is not motionless. There are signs that progress is still happening quietly beneath the surface. Recognizing those signs can change how you interpret the entire journey, because forward movement does not always look dramatic while it is happening. Sometimes it appears in small shifts that reveal you are stronger, wiser, and more stable than you were before. Chosen one. When progress unfolds slowly, it becomes easy to overlook the evidence that movement is still happening. Because the world often measures success through visible milestones, quiet growth can feel invisible, even when it is transforming your life in meaningful ways. Yet, if you look carefully at your journey, there are often clear signs that you are still advancing, even when the timeline feels slower than you expected. One of the first signs is that you recover faster from setbacks than you once did. Difficult moments still appear because no path in life is free from challenges. You still encounter disappointment, mistakes, or unexpected obstacles, but something about your response has changed. Where you once stayed discouraged for weeks, you now regain clarity more quickly. Where frustration once kept you stuck in negative thinking, you now return to focus sooner. The challenges themselves may not have disappeared, but your resilience has improved. Healing shortens your collapse, even before it speeds up your success. This is a powerful form of progress because resilience determines how long a setback controls your direction. When resilience grows, your ability to continue moving forward strengthens, even if the circumstances around you remain difficult. Another sign of forward movement appears in the quality of your decisions. Earlier in your journey, uncertainty may have led you to tolerate confusion longer than you should have. You might have stayed in situations that drained your energy or accepted patterns that did not truly align with your purpose. But as your discernment grows, your decisions begin changing. You recognize unhealthy environments faster. You become more comfortable saying no when something does not align with your values or direction. Instead of chasing every opportunity that appears, you begin choosing carefully which paths deserve your attention. Forward movement often first appears as better decisions. This shift may not create immediate results, but it protects your future by preventing mistakes that once slowed your growth. Every wise decision removes a potential distraction from your path and brings your life closer to alignment with the purpose you are building. A third sign of progress is that your need for validation begins fading. Early in many journeys, recognition feels necessary for motivation. Approval from others confirms that the effort you're investing is meaningful. But as your understanding deepens, something inside you begins changing. You no longer feel the same urgency to prove yourself to everyone around you. Instead of chasing applause, you become more comfortable building quietly. The absence of attention no longer discourages you the way it once did, because your motivation has shifted from external approval to internal conviction. When your need for applause decreases, your maturity is increasing. This transformation is significant because dependence on validation can easily control your direction. When recognition becomes the primary goal, people often rush decisions in order to gain attention quickly. But when validation is no longer necessary for your confidence, patience becomes easier. You can focus on building something meaningful rather than something immediately impressive. Another sign that you are still advancing appears in the way you approach your pace. Earlier in life, decisions may have been influenced by urgency or fear. The pressure to keep up with others could lead to rushed choices that created unnecessary complications later. But as you grow, your steps become more intentional. You begin recognizing that moving carefully often protects you from rebuilding the stakes in the future. Instead of reacting to pressure, you respond with reflection. Instead of rushing forward because others are moving quickly, you move with purpose because you understand where you are going. The chosen one may move slowly, but rarely moves carelessly. This kind of intentional progress does not always produce dramatic milestones immediately, but it creates stability that will support success when it finally appears. Each thoughtful decision becomes part of a structure that strengthens your path over time. When you begin recognizing these quiet signs of growth, your perspective on slow seasons starts changing. The journey no longer feels like stagnation because you can see the ways your character, resilience, and judgment have improved. Progress may not be loud yet, but it is real. And once you understand that you are still moving forward, even at a slower pace, another important lesson becomes clear. The goal is not to accelerate your journey artificially, just to match the speed of others. The goal is to continue walking with patience, trusting that the process God is guiding you through has a purpose that extends far beyond immediate results. Chosen one, when you step back and look at the entire journey, something important begins to become clear. The pace of your life may be slower than what the world celebrates, but that does not mean it is wrong. In fact, many of the strongest and most meaningful paths are built slowly because they are being constructed to last. The world often glorifies speed. It celebrates sudden success, rapid visibility, and quick results that appear impressive in a short period of time. But speed alone does not guarantee stability. Many things that grow quickly also collapse quickly, because the foundation beneath them was never strong enough to carry the weight they eventually attracted. God understands this better than anyone. When He slows your journey, it is rarely because He is withholding progress from you. More often, it is because He is protecting the future you are walking toward. Slow seasons allow time for refinement. They allow time for your judgment to sharpen, your character to strengthen, and your faith to deepen. If everything you prayed for appeared instantly, the pressure that followed might overwhelm you before you had the strength to sustain it. Influence, responsibility, and success carry weight that many people underestimate until they experience it themselves. Without preparation, those blessings can become burdens rather than opportunities. This is why God often builds chosen ones slowly. He is not only preparing the opportunities ahead of you, He is preparing you to carry them wisely. Every quiet season becomes part of that preparation. Every moment where you choose discipline instead of distraction strengthens your foundation. Every setback that teaches you resilience becomes a lesson that protects you from repeating mistakes in the future. These experiences may not look impressive while they are happening, but they are shaping the kind of person who can sustain the life you are praying for. When you begin seeing your journey through this perspective, comparison loses its power. You no longer feel the same urgency to measure your timeline against the visible progress of others. Instead of rushing forward to keep up, you begin valuing the stability that comes from moving with intention. Slow with God is better than fast without peace. Peace is one of the clearest signs that your direction is aligned with purpose. When you move at the world's pace, decisions are often driven by pressure, competition, and the fear of being left behind. That kind of urgency can produce quick movement, but it rarely produces clarity. When you move with God's timing, the pace may feel slower, but your steps become more intentional. Each decision is made with reflection rather than panic. Each opportunity is evaluated with discernment rather than desperation. This kind of movement creates stability that protects your future. It also allows you to enjoy the journey rather than constantly chasing the next milestone. One of the greatest misconceptions about slow seasons is the belief that they represent wasted time. In reality, many of the most important transformations in life occur during these quieter periods. This is when your identity becomes stronger than your circumstances. It is when your faith becomes deeper than your fears. It is when your patience grows strong enough to carry you through challenges that would have discouraged you in earlier stages of life. These transformations are not visible on the outside, but they shape everything that will eventually appear on the outside. God is not wasting your time. He is shaping your strength. He is refining your judgment. He is teaching you how to carry what is coming without losing the peace that makes it meaningful. When success finally arrives, you will not only have the opportunity you prayed for, you will also have the maturity required to sustain it. This is why slow seasons are often sacred seasons. They build the kind of character that can hold the blessings that follow. Without that preparation, many people receive what they asked for, only to discover they are not ready to carry it. But when God prepares you slowly, the person you become is strong enough to handle the life that unfolds afterward. So if your journey feels slower than expected, remember this truth. You are not behind. You are being prepared. You are not failing. You are being formed. Every step you take, even when it feels small, is part of the path God is shaping beneath your feet. If you are still walking, still learning, still choosing faith, even when progress feels quiet, then you are not stuck. You are simply moving with a wisdom that most people do not understand yet. Before we close, take a moment to reflect on this message. If your journey has felt slow lately, remember that slow does not mean stuck. Sometimes, God is simply building something deeper than what the world can see right now. If this message spoke to your situation, take a second to like the video so it can reach others who may need this encouragement. You can also share it with someone who feels like they are falling behind in life. And if you want more content about the journey of the chosen ones, God's timing, and quiet spiritual growth, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next message. Stay patient, stay faithful, and keep moving forward.